Okay. My name is Cade Jones. I'm a regional planner with Acadiana Planning Commission. I've been here for 1 year so far, and I went to school for landscape architecture, but I'm a planner now. We also have Chad Lacombe from APC and Avon Burgess. He is a Vista volunteer with APC, and we are working on the Abbeville Opportunity Zone prospectus, and we're very excited about it. We've gotten a lot of good information from Ann Falgu already, and now we want to hear from a wider range of community members. Chad, do you want to give any introductory remarks before we get started?
Well, I'll do a quick blurb just on what opportunity zones are. Opportunity zones were created in 2017 as part of the Tax Cut and Jobs Act. And it was an incentive program designed to really attract investment in census tracts that had not participated in the economic recovery after the last recession. Of course, now we're in another one. And to qualify, the census tract had to have a poverty rate in excess of 20% and an income level in a median household income that was 20% lower than the area median income. In the case of Abbeville, the two that are, the one that was designated actually meets both criteria. In fact, all of the ones that were designated within Acadiana meet both criteria. What it does is it provides an incentive for a private investor who is cashed out and has capital gains to invest in businesses or real estate in these geographic place-based areas. And that incentive is a combination of a deferral plus a step-up basis, which means the amount that's taxable is decreased. The maximum benefit was a 15% step up in basis over, and the design here is to encourage people to do a long-term investment into these areas so that they have time to really have a transformative effect. We applied to the Delta Regional Authority to help our rural communities develop out marketing tools to attract investors into these census tracts, including Abbeville. And that's kind of where we stand now. Part of what we're trying to do is really highlight the community and highlight the things that make the area a very livable place where people want to come. And so those are the kind of the tools that we're looking for in developing out these prospectuses. And it's all yours, Kate.
Okay, thank you for that, Chad. I'm going to hop over to a screen share of our presentation. So this is this image is the Abbeville Bank, and this is going to be the cover of our prospectus. And so here's just a quick agenda of today's meeting. Most of the time is going to be dedicated to those breakout sessions where we're going to be soliciting your feedback, and I'll explain the methodology that we're using to do that here in a second. So Acadiana Planning Commission, we serve the public sector in the planning and implementation of economic, community, and transportation development throughout the region known as Acadiana. And Invest Acadiana is an initiative powered by Acadiana Planning Commission and One Acadiana to promote our opportunity zones throughout the region. So the purpose of today's meeting is to develop a community profile based on the input collected from the members of Abbeville. Our goals are to establish the existing stocks of the assets and capitals that constitute Abbeville's current wealth, determine the future desires of the community in terms of investment and development, place the power of decision-making in the hands of community members, and discover the strength of individuals and their capacities in the community of Abbeville to create an action plan that local organizations and partnerships can use to spur action. And as mentioned before, today's input is going to be material that we are loading into this prospectus, with the target audience being mainly potential investors that may want to move to Abbeville. So we're kind of highlighting what are the best parts of Abbeville, and if I have money that I'd like to spend, why should I open up my business there? So the methodology that we're using is called Wealthworks. It's an asset mapping tool that essentially breaks up the wealth and assets of a place into these 8 categories that you see here. And you can think of these sort of as the chapters of our prospectus. So what I'm going to do is quickly run through each of these capitals and how we are defining them, what we mean when we say these, and hopefully it will get you to start thinking about some of the things that fall under these categories. So individual capital is the skills and capacity, including health, that allows individuals to be productive. Investments in human capital include spending on skill development, education, training, and health maintenance and improvement. So we're looking at our workforce, our health services, and that sort of information when we speak about individual capital. Intellectual is going to be the knowledge, creativity, and innovation needed to solve problems and develop new ways of doing things. Investment in intellectual capital is through research and development and support for activities that increase innovation as well as diffusion of new knowledge and applications. It can come from sharing with other people and communities. So we're looking at our education, our libraries, our school systems, work readiness programs, and that sort of material. Social capital is going to be the trust, networks, and inclusive relationships needed to get things done. Investments in social capital are those that lead to new conversations, shared experiences, and connections between individuals and groups, and/or strengthen relationships within groups. So religious organizations, all of your clubs, Rotary, Kiwanis, nonprofits, networks, and groups are all social capital. Cultural is very easy for most of our South Louisiana communities. It's traditions, customs, and beliefs shared by the community, including the way we see the world. Investments in cultural capital can help to preserve tradition while also helping to shift and align beliefs in ways that help people develop shared values and history. So all of the traditions and customs and festivals and arts and giant omelet celebrations. Natural capital is the environmental assets, your parks, your land, your water, your fish and wildlife type things, and the outdoor stuff and the fun stuff. And I know, again, Abbeville has Palmetto Island State Park, which I very much would like to visit soon. So there's a wealth of capital there. Built capital is the fully functioning constructed infrastructure, buildings, sewer treatment plants, manufacturing and processing plants, energy, transportation, communications infrastructure, and technology needed to support community well-being. Investment in physical capital is in construction, renovation, and maintenance. Built capital depreciates with use and requires ongoing investment to maintain its value. So everything to do with transportation and airports and trains and docks and port, boating, that's all built capital. Political is going to be the voice, power, and influence over decisions needed to achieve your goals, including the distribution of resources, Investments in political capital are made through inclusive organizing, gathering and disseminating information, providing access to decision makers, creating broader constituencies, and increased voice. So, how does the government operate? What's the council or police jury like? And how are the resources made available to the public? And last but not least, financial capital. Investments in personal savings generates monetary returns that can be used for further investment or consumption. Stewardship of part of financial capital implies responsible investment to generate added income, as well as eliminate unnecessary costs or waste. In creating wealth, we strive to invest financial capital in ways that increase and improve the quality of the other 7 forms of capital. So banks, local economic partners, local incentives, and income data is how we are defining financial capital. So now we want to hear from you. So if anyone has any particular ideas about individual capital, feel free to speak up and let us know, and we'll be taking notes and recording this and loading this information into our prospectus.
This is David Lamont talking, what are the occupancy rates and the other pertinent real estate factors? Are you going to have people in the local real estate community provide you with all of the relevant data there?
Chad, you want to help me answer that one?
Oh, we certainly can, but again, occupancy rates are something that's sort of a moving target. So we're trying to, particularly in this tool, highlight things that are a little bit more static, the assets in the community that are there. And if there are buildings that are available for lease, we'd certainly like to, within the opportunity zone, we'd certainly like to highlight those. And that would be something that, getting with Ann, getting a list of potential commercial structures.
Yeah, that's not, I wasn't talking about a snapshot. I was talking about more of a, like you might see in a kind of a loan package, where it would be the tendencies over 3 to 5 years or whatever, that type of information. If I would be an investor looking into the community, I'd certainly want to be aware of those facts and figures, things that I think over time, Lita and your other, in the Abbeville communities and stuff, you'd have some of that information.
Oh, we can certainly add that. I mean, it's not without the realm of possibilities. That would have to go in probably the built capital. And Kate, we need to do a breakdown of these one capital at a time and let people add their input to make sure that we have everything available in the right category.
Okay, good. So the major employers that I have for Vermilion Parish, for example, to speak to the workforce are Omega Protein, Abbeville General Hospital, EcoServe, Pelican Point Healthcare, Acadian Contractors, and Maison Dumont. Is there anything that comes to mind that maybe I haven't mentioned that should fit on that list?
I think you've captured it.
Okay, good. So, and then
Hey, Cade, just a idea here. It might there might be some value in looking at the draft to kind of make sure we're not missing anything. Since we did do a lot of work to like backfill it, it might just it kind of inspire some conversation around what we already kind of have.
Okay, let me,
I don't know if it's in a shareable format at this point. I know I kind of sprung that on you, but it might help.
I think you're right. And so here's what I'll do. I'll switch my screen share over to a draft version, and I want to repeat and emphasize a draft version of the prospectus.
You
And
guys get to see how the sausage is made.
Yeah, well, the idea here is you guys help us fill in the gaps if we've missed anything.
Right.
okay, let's see. Okay, there's our cover. You're gonna see my notes and things. You might see information that got copied over from another prospectus for maybe Bridge, for example. So just know that those things are all gonna be cleaned up and changed before any kind of official release. But here's our table of contents. We're working on getting some statements of support, and then we get into giving a high-level overview of Abbeville and the census tracts within Abbeville that are designated as opportunity zones.
And you only have one. This is a holdover.
Wait, what's that?
There's
Oh.
only one census tract in Abbeville. This is a holdover from other documents.
Yep, exactly.
The
So
map is correct. The map is accurate.
yeah, so you can see here it says Bridge. So just know, draft, okay? And then about Abbeville, and we have this awesome picture of the Vermilion River. And then we go through and define our methodology, the Wealthworks capitals, and how we are moving our way through the prospectus. This is going to be a screenshot of today's meeting to talk about the public input. And then we get into our capitals, and this is the sort of by the numbers demographics page, and we pulled this information from the 2018 American Community Survey narrative profiles by the US Census Bureau. And so we're highlighting the population and education and things like that. Our workforce, you can see my big note here at the bottom to highlight why Omega is so relevant to Abbeville. And Anne gave me a pretty good overview of what Omega does before, and it's pretty impressive. And that's a great thing to be able to say that you have that in your town. So, and then here you can see I'm still filling in information for the major employers.
Hey, Kay, do we talk about the 55 by 25 initiative anywhere?
I don't think so. I don't think.
We could put that at intellectual capital. I think that's a good spot for it. And that would be across all of the prospectuses.
Right, just some kind of call out that says, you know, this is the educational attainment now, but the goal is to reach 25%, 55% by 2025 of that, you know, post-secondary degree status. I think that would be worth mentioning since the zone is part of that effort.
Okay. Good. Let's see. Next, focus on healthcare, where we give a page to Abbeville General. And that's what we have so far for our individual capital. Now, is there anything anyone would like to see or thinks would be highly relevant to this capital before we move on?
Can you go back? I think it was 3 pages ago. Go back one more. Here, I just want to look at that for a minute. Oh, no, one too many. Okay, go ahead, Ann. I'm going to look at this for a second.
Yeah, I was just thinking, you know, since healthcare is like number 1 and we're in the section where healthcare is mentioned, it might be worth pulling out like the ancillary services in healthcare, and we have a huge assisted living population in the parish. And that means a highly skilled workforce that's connected with our community college related to that. So that allied health professional. And then we have almost like a living lab, you know, because we have so many services here related to that. And then there's some specialized services too that might be strange for a community of our size. You know, we just open a new dialysis center, and then we have another full service hospital in the parish. I know it's not in Abbeville specifically, but like making some kind of statement to that fact about the predominance of the healthcare industry as an industry, not just you know, basic services, if that makes sense, you know, might be worth mentioning. Like, we don't just have a rural health clinic. We have 2 full service hospitals in the parish. That's a pretty strange thing.
Well, for a rural parish, those are huge assets. I mean,
Exactly.
the trend has been away from having full service hospitals to clinics because of the cost. The fact that you have 2 is a major asset for any potential employer looking to relocate, because you have access to primary health care that, you know, a lot of other places in the country don't.
You know, and I'm even thinking, you know, telehealth is huge right now. And so, you know, if somebody's looking to move a 30, 40, 50 person healthcare call center, for example, they're looking for a spot to do that. This would make a lot of sense to do that. You'd have great accents over the phone and really nice, hospitable people. And then, you know, the development opportunities to do that in that sector.
Okay, awesome.
So we'll have to figure out a way to put it in, but we can put it in.
Yeah.
In group, this is Brady. I like what you put on there, but I don't know why we would pick some and not all. We do have East Ridge Nursing Home. We have East Ridge Assisted Living, and we do have nursing homes outside of Abbeville. We're also going to get a new assisted living in Vermilion Parish, just north of Abbeville at Maurice. So we're much bigger in healthcare than what's on the list currently.
Yeah, I think what we did was we started with employers with over 100 employees, and then we backed down the list until we had, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 6 right here. Back down the list. We pulled out, I think, the sheriff's department and the school board were in there. So we pulled out the public entities.
Right.
And these were literally the ones that the private companies with the highest employee count.
Yeah, so those are the largest employers by size of payroll or size of employers.
And maybe we should even note that. I know that kind of, it might seem obvious, but the word major doesn't necessarily imply largest. To Brady's point.
Yeah.
Okay.
It might be even, you know, to screw up your format, be worth, you know, shrinking the image size and doing another little box that says, you know, that we just talked about the healthcare industry, and we can talk about the service industry and maybe even hospitality, you know, like if you put them all together, you're looking at like the industrial space, the healthcare space, and then the hospitality space as like a 3 major employee categories, you know. So we're telling people that we do have that. We want people to understand that yes, these employers are representative of our workforce and who's here, but there's also a bunch of small companies when you put them all together that have a qualified workforce that might be attractive to an investor.
Okay. All right. Are we ready to move on to the next capital, or is there any other comment?
Just a quick note on Abbeville General, and correct me if I'm wrong, and you guys might know this as a group, but isn't it also one of the only other hospitals in Louisiana that in the region that has a burn unit?
That I don't know.
Okay.
We can follow up for sure.
Yeah,
Well,
check that one because that's a major. That's also like a plug, and it's related to the oil industry. But yeah, I mean it's worth following up on. Just
Okay.
to add on the note under Abbeville General.
You got it. Okay, the next capital that we discuss is intellectual. That's going to be your education, work readiness, libraries, and things like that. And so we start off with the work readiness. We know about Acadiana Works and Vermilion at Work. And I have some information on Leadership Vermilion. And from from our previous conversation, I have boat ride photos here. So you might, I was trying to find, I'm limited to the information that I can find on the internet. So
Right.
that's why a lot of these meetings are great to get,
I was letting Cade know that during the last couple sessions of Leadership Vermilion, the incoming class talks about sustainability as a part of their leadership journey and understanding the sustainability issues and opportunities in Vermilion. And so you do like a coastal boat tour. I mean, they're not doing it this year, obviously, for obvious reasons, but that they might have some really good pictures to use for this section. This is where we might put 55 by 25 too,
Yes.
somewhere in there, maybe on the first page.
Yeah, it would be a good fit here.
maybe up at the top.
Yeah, and if you put it at the top, you're kind of going regional down and to specific, Vermilion Parish specific.
Okay.
Is our school, I know this is the section with schools.
Yes.
Yes.
So we go from work readiness, and I think the way we determined that we were going to go is the most employable. So the work readiness down to the community college and the higher education institutions. And then we get into the local high schools. And I know Abbeville High has a ton of vocational programs that we wanted to highlight. So many so that you can see I'm having to figure out my page formatting down here.
I still don't know about taxidermy, but we're gonna find out.
Yeah, we can find out. I knew they used to. They used to.
And also, yeah, the Pro Start program at Abbeville High.
Pro Start?
Culinary, right?
Yeah, culinary.
Look, he has it under there.
No,
Yeah.
Vermilion too. Yeah. Okay, got it.
Okay. And then to continue in intellectual, we go on to our library page, and this is where I'm going to have images of the library, and then the Abbeville Meridional, which is significant because it's one of the only print newspapers that are. Ann, can you help me out with that one?
Well, it's a almost daily newspaper, so that's a big deal.
Also, one of the oldest.
1907, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, look, yeah, look at that. It
Oh.
says as of 2012. It's as of 2020, Cade. It's still here. So this would be like information dissemination too.
Yeah, we also want like contact information for all these things so that a business owner who's looking to relocate can contact each one of these institutions.
Okay.
They need for advertising in the newspaper, or if you're wanting to hire somebody from one of the workforce programs, how do they connect to those programs to get the people who are matriculating out? Those are the types of connections we're trying to make here.
Okay.
So are there any intellectual components that you haven't seen in the prospectus yet that you think might go
Yes.
on here?
Virtual Vermilion. So that's the new online, well, it's not new, it's the online education forum. It's through the school system. But given that, our world has forever changed, I think it might be worth mentioning that we have a robust online virtual K through 12 program, and maybe we can give some like data, when it was created, what maybe some unique attributes that make it worth mentioning. But I think people will be looking to that kind of like it wasn't just started this year. It's something that's been going on for a long time, and kind of the curriculum's established.
Okay, great.
I know that we've been talking about that in a lot of conversations, so I think it's worth noting. And I see you have Vermilion Parish schools are top in the state. I think some of those rankings, like some trend information about top 5 school districts kind of in the last so many years, I think it's going to be definitely worth mentioning.
Yeah.
Okay. Does anyone else have intellectual capital input before we move on to the social capital?
We might, again, this is probably going to be a regional thing, and maybe Chad could weigh in here too. Private and parochial schools obviously are big in Louisiana, and we have quite a few. So we might even just want to like mention that there's so many private and parochial schools with like a estimated number of students.
Yeah, I think we had done that on the regional, if I remember right. If not, we could do a blurb on the diocesan school system.
Well, we have some too outside of the
It's
diocese.
outside of, exactly.
I think in our parish, the difference is that usually that's how you get the good education numbers, and our public school system has good education numbers. So it's not, but I mean, I know it's important for the development side sometimes to mention that there's a network existing.
Okay. Also, I want to make a note that if there's something that you think of after this meeting, you'll be able to, give us your feedback. You can email us or you can comment it on the live video on Facebook. But we want to continue to hear from you even after this meeting is done. So.
Oh, another reminder, once we get a full draft, you guys will get a preview of it before we go live with it.
Yeah. Okay, our social capital. These are the clubs that I have so far. And I'll go all the way through social so you can see what we're working with. I have the Main Street program and Vermilion Historical Society. And that's what I have for social so far. So this is one of the things, it's not quite as easy to find this information as it would be, say, festivals and arts and entertainment and parks and stuff like that. So any feedback on this would be greatly appreciated.
I thought of something since the last time we talked. There's French tables that happen all over the parish. Might be worth, again, a little blurb about how preservation of the French language is important to the people who live here, and that, again, that might be some kind of connection for somebody. And I think it's unique.
If I remember my census data right, I think Vermilion Parish actually has the highest percentage of French speakers as a first language in
Yeah, I pull
not
out
only the state, but the country.
I pull out the bilingual stats a lot because it matters, especially when we're talking about Canadian and other international development opportunities. They like to have that connection, that cultural connection.
Okay.
Kate, this is Charlene Beckett. There's 2 organizations that need to be added: Keep Abbeville Beautiful and the Abbeville Garden Club.
Awesome.
And there is a women's professional group that has just started. And so I'd have to get the exact name.
Yeah, there's a much larger list. We can help you with that.
That would be great. If you guys have contact info for each one of those, that would be awesome too. Because again, the idea is if you're looking to relocate to a town, how do I loop into these networks?
Right.
And there's a women's club, and there's, you know, there's other clubs that you can.
There's a bunch.
Yeah.
Okay, good. It's hard to know how to search for things like that when you're doing it by yourself on Google. So,
Well, and a lot of local organizations don't have web pages or Facebook pages or anything.
right. Okay. Any more notes on social before we move on?
If we talk about how we're gonna do the churches, we're gonna pick, you know, like one or from each denomination, or I can't remember. How'd y'all do that in other ones?
We had like a list of the largest with the denomination breakdown and like a contact info for the church. You know, again, if you're looking for a congregation to join, we could do it as a map. You know, as an alternate, just thinking out of the box.
That might be good because it's difficult to put this on a list because you don't want to imply a hierarchy.
Yeah, it gets
have
kind of
anyone feel left out, you know. So maybe a map would be better for that.
Yeah.
For that stat. Okay. Plus, maps are good to look at, and I know we have a lot of charts and lists already. So. Okay, we're going to move on to our cultural capital, which I don't know if there are enough pages to be able to fit everything. So we have the Cattle Festival. These are the major ones, and I've gone just by the month, you know.
I was gonna say, I think that's how we did it. We went month by month and just pulled whatever we could find.
And you literally have something every month.
Yeah.
Sometimes two things.
I mean, technically in the zone in December, it might be worth putting that we have the Christmas stroll. That the last couple of years has been huge, and it's right inside the zone, and it's local merchants and, you know, festivities might be worth putting.
Yeah,
and then we just need January. I think that's all we have.
Mm-hmm.
Charlene and Main Street, they do a great job with lighting up the downtown area. So I think that would be worth putting on there for December.
For sure.
Also,
It's a great image. So.
And the cemetery tour is in November.
Yes, the cemetery tour.
And yeah, so those two things need to be added.
Okay.
And the May Festival, I don't know if that's called.
I don't know that even, it's kind of.
Is that this one here that you're referring?
Yeah, it's like a private, well, not really.
It's not private,
but yes, kind of.
It's
a fundraiser for the
school itself.
Yeah, so I think we could take that one out for sure.
Okay.
And free up some space.
Gotcha.
We'll work on this list.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
We pulled off of Allie's website just kind of everything. So it needs to be pared down and expanded a little bit.
Let's see. And then here's our omelet festival, the celebration. That is just the coolest picture. And then
I was gonna say, you have several conferee members in the meeting, so we're not gonna argue with you.
We might have a little bit better quality picture for you, though.
yeah,
we
that would be good.
really
'Cause this
do.
one's a little, I think.
It looks a little pixelated.
Yeah.
But we can work
But yeah,
on
a
that.
better picture would be awesome. But yeah,
and- go ahead.
no, I would say it's such a cool picture.
And also, that's what I was going to say when you're talking about the social groups, is that the Conferee Abbeville is actually a social group that participates in international exchange, and you know, it concentrates on the French language. So I think that would be one to feature in your social groups as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, y'all. I think my computer spazzed out for a second, but we're back. Okay, and then we were going to highlight the theaters, museums, and galleries. That there was a movie filmed in Abbeville that Chad loves. Is The Blob, right?
Yes, it's the Blob.
The blob.
So
It's a fun fact.
yeah, we want to highlight, that kind of fun stuff. And then
Yeah, the Louisiana Story premiered
Yes.
here.
That's,
Downtown.
that's huge.
I think we had a photo maybe when this might have been 2 pages at one time, and I think Frank's Theater might have gotten a shout out for that. I think we probably need to differentiate between. Okay, so these are structures, because like the Frank's Theater isn't open, the other ones are, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's
And-
more of a historical building and a development opportunity, but not so much of a space where you go to experience arts and culture right now.
And I think I'd rather focus on Frank's Theater as a development opportunity in the perspective.
I would like to see us feature the murals here.
Yeah.
I think the
We
murals
have
would be
some
good.
great murals, and it could be an attraction for people coming in from out of town. So if we could do some shots of the different murals we have in the downtown area, I think that would be good to feature here.
If you guys have photos, please share. And Robert Dafford is so internationally known. His name alone is a draw.
I mean, Charlene could probably tell us, but don't we have like maybe even like 6 in the district? There's a
Well,
lot.
I mean, it depends on whether you're going to call like the diorama as one or individual.
Right.
There's 3 about the marsh, the cattle drive. There's 3 about Daylily Festival. I think there's like 9 if you kind of do them individually. I have some photos that I can get to you, but we need to remove the Banco Grotto if we're gonna. I mean, it is an attraction, but if we're gonna do Abbeville, then we have to do more than this. I mean,
Yeah.
There's the Kaplan Museum, the Erath Museum, which I think is all a draw. So you either have to take out in Abbeville's historic district, or if you leave that, the Richard Sale Barn is not in the historic district. And I think it's an important feature.
Right. So go bigger instead of go smaller.
I think that would be for me, because I think they're all attractions. If I come to Abbeville, I might want to know. And look, my goal is the historic district, but
We
You might feature inside Abbeville and then regional.
yeah,
Yeah,
that might be a great
Highlights and
idea.
regional.
Even like an asterisk that says in the zone,
Yeah.
in the OZ or whatever, that kind of points people to that. Because we have Abbey players somewhere too, right?
It's the next page.
Okay.
That's
Oh,
a great old building.
I think you need a production picture in here.
Yeah.
yeah, that would be great.
Yeah, we could get that from them.
Okay.
Yeah, we were looking for a picture that we might have to get the corner when the signs lit up, like just a portrait angle of the outside, with the light up lit up, and then like maybe an inside production piece of something actually happening, because that's just a big old brick building. It doesn't look like it looks when it's lit up and all magical.
Yeah, I was to say the nighttime photos actually look a lot better than the daytime photos.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, it's beautiful. It's just that if you're trying to sell life here.
Yeah. Well, and another thing is, if you guys can get a hold of some of the old play production playbills, we can integrate that into the page layout, and that might show some of the productions that have occurred in the past.
They're all over the walls.
I think to Charlene's point, when she said Richard Selborn, it kind of made me think about it. It might be worth us talking about like live music opportunities, and we can mention that there are venues and list out the venues, and even talk about how those opportunities are available, you know, on the weekends in the parks and in our museums and in our restaurants, and just kind of talk about the music piece in its own little world, because it's part of this space, but it doesn't have a space.
Right.
Right.
And neither does food. We should probably
So
spend a little
our
time talking about food.
next page is our culinary stuff, seafood availability. And then this is a spread with Tastes of Vermilion is what we were going to call this page, and highlight some of the restaurants. And maybe this could be a space where we highlight the music, like music and live entertainment aspect, and then dedicate this page to the culinary. Just
We could put that right before we could do Abbey players after that, you know, like put them in between.
Yeah.
So then Abbey players could be like a call out for the entertainment piece. So we kind of like define like cultural and then entertainment, and like maybe differentiate it a little bit.
right, because as you can see, I have the same copy here on both pages. So if we
Right.
consolidate the culinary to one side and then have the other side of the spread be the entertainment aspect of it, I think that would pair nicely together.
And I want to kind of work the phrasing to where we can talk about how the restaurants really tap into the fresh seafood that's available from the coast, the Louisiana coast.
We're actually working on a project right now with the beef industry and the Brennans in New Orleans. So I think,
Yeah.
you know, there's a huge push to have seafood and, you know, local products and beef and produce, whatever, in Louisiana restaurants. And I think that's worth noting, because not every opportunity zone has those kind of things, you know.
Right.
I'm sure Iowa
One of the
can't
nexus
talk
we
about
can
that.
create-
Maybe they can. Who knows?
Yeah. The other nexus we could create is with the port, and you know, being in the parish and not very far away, in that the seafood hub that they're trying to develop.
Right.
Well, one of the things that we've used previously with the city is we've called our culinary ads sometimes Kitchen of the Wetlands.
Oh, that's cool.
I like that.
I
mean,
like that. That's a good, catchy way of doing
We eat everything that doesn't eat us first.
it.
Alligator to frogs, shrimp, crawfish. I mean, we eat it all.
I draw the line of nutria.
Yeah, well, yeah. Right.
So you
Kitchen of the
think? No.
Kitchen of the Wetlands is one of the things we've used several times. So maybe think about that.
Okay, great. All right, so that's as you can see, we have a lot in the cultural. And now, before we move on to natural, is there anything anyone would like to add for cultural?
Maybe, like we said, that language piece we can put in there somehow.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that might be what we lead the cultural section with, is the language piece.
Yeah, because we can do French table and immersion, and just kind of like I could even probably do it in like 3 sentences. We just need to do it. You know, we could just put it together.
And if we have a good picture of a French immersion table, that French table, that would be great. A table français.
Okay. Awesome. All right.
That way you could tie all of the other pieces into it, like the you know, easily the food and the play, the theater, and the music part.
Okay. All right. Next is our natural capital. So these are the places that we have so far, and I know there are more than what is on this list, but this is what we have as of right now.
Yeah, I think we try to do thematic, you know, at least one in every kind of traditional recreation activity type.
Mm-hmm. And then our highlighted page is going to be Palmetto State Park Palmetto Island State Park. And then we give a spread of 2 pages to the types of recreation, and this is left over from Bro Bridge with the Atchafalaya Basin there.
But kayaking doesn't mean, huh?
I'm going to interject about the Palmetto State Park. I think it's great to feature it, but we also have an RV park that is part of the city. It's right inside the city limits, owned by the city, and it's got some nature trails and stuff. And we are working on acquiring property that would connect it to Cooley Kinney. So I do think at some point we need to feature that we have RVing right here in the city limits, that you could stay, you can walk to restaurants or bike downtown. So we need to feature that RV park also.
Is it on this list here?
Yeah, that's it there.
Okay.
And to introduce you guys to Avon, Avon's background is actually outdoor recreation. That's what his degree's in outdoor recreation as the business. And there are business opportunities here for people who are potentially looking to locate the opportunity zone to do things like provide outfitting for bird watching, or kayak rentals, or any of these other support things that help get people going. The RV park is a good prime example of another type of business that could potentially fit.
Perfect.
It's a whole set of industries.
Anything, would anyone like to add anything else?
Hey, Roz, you might know, I've heard rumors of a big walking trail somewhere in Abbeville. Does that sound familiar?
You're probably talking about one that is planned for, there is one planned for Lafitte Drive-In Park, but it has not come to fruition yet.
This is
that
more
one,
about like Eaton Park area. Like apparently there's a big walking trail or some kind of marked walking trail that's not affiliated with any existing park.
Okay, it's not the RV park because we had some walking trails there. Brady, do you know? Is Brady still with us?
Yeah.
Or Charlene May?
No, haven't heard that. There's a small walking
I'm
park
gonna have to,
within Eaton Park Elementary.
okay. I think I heard that from Catherine Mobley, maybe. I'm gonna have to try to remember who I heard that from and dig into it.
Is this what you're referring to here?
Yeah. I think we were talking about it and we wrote it down to follow up, and I didn't follow up, so they figured that out.
Okay.
Well, downtown Abbeville is very walkable,
oh yeah.
We have those wonderful squares that vehicles have struggle going around, but it's very walkable.
Okay.
Now in the historic district, and we're going to get to this in the built capital, is there a walking trail, or self-guided walking trail, or walking tour?
I do have a brochure for a self-guided walking tour in the historic district.
That would be great to include, because that's a lot of great information, not only on the structures, but the fact that you could do that.
Yeah.
And you also have the tour guide group, Charlene.
Yes, we have. Oh yeah, I forgot about that, Ross. Thanks. We can call on volunteer tour guides when we have a group more than 2 people, and they will do a tour, a 2-hour tour or a 1-hour tour, whatever the.
It may be interesting to highlight that program, as a with the relevant contact info.
Right. We just don't do it for just a handful of people. I mean, it's usually groups.
And that's the way to bill it as
Yeah.
groups.
Right.
Sorry if y'all heard the train.
I thought it was somebody playing guitar, to be honest with you.
Not right now. So, okay, that's what we have so far for natural. And those are great suggestions. Anything else before we move on to built capital? Okay. So built capital is infrastructural assets, your historic properties, I want to break away from the prospectus for just a moment, and I want to share a different screen. I don't know if you can see that, but this is the OCD standing structures and districts maps that I just discovered. Someone from the state sent this to me, and super helpful because it shows the local designations of maps, of districts, and it shows the state and national register locations. And as you can see, there are so many important locations here that it might be difficult for us to single out a few of them. So we're going to have this map with those locations where you were just seeing that on the prospectus.
That's a lot.
I
That's a
know,
lot of structures.
Wow.
Yeah. So this is a really cool resource. What I'm going to do is I'm going to take this map and I'm going to put it in our chat if anyone would like to explore it at a later time.
Chad, we have 2 national
It
registers.
looks like there's a high concentration for our part of the world. Like that's a high concentration in the state.
Yeah, well, the other side is a lot of those buildings, which are maybe open for rent or on the market, can tap into historic preservation tax credits, which is something we're talking about later. And most of our opportunity zone includes all of these, which is huge. So those are great redevelopment opportunities because there's so many programs you can tap into, whether it be Main Street or, again, the historic preservation tax credits, the restoration tax abatement program from the state. There's just a ton of resources here.
I did forget to mention about the cultural district. We do
Yeah.
have a cultural district. We also have 2 historic districts, a commercial and a residential, and we have properties listed separately, but I do think that needs to be placed somewhere, is that we do have historic districts. The commercial district has 119.
Yeah, and those are tied directly to tax incentives. So
Yeah.
Not all of them.
it's definitely
Some of
worth
them.
it.
We're one of the few historic districts that have so much residential involved in it.
Mm-hmm.
All of downtown and a lot of residential.
Well, then all of the commercial structures are eligible for the tax credit programs. The state ones.
Not the historic.
Well, the ones that haven't been heavily modified.
Right, correct.
Let me qualify that.
all the contributing elements.
All the contributing elements are there. You go.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's a fine point.
Yes.
So this is an example of one of the assets that carries over across multiple of our categories, right? Like we can stick this in the cultural stuff, but it's also built structural components too.
Yeah, and I actually think it fits better in built. It's what gives the town character and charm, and that's stuff you can't buy.
And it's authentic.
It's authentic. You can't make it because it took time for it to develop. It's not just all one style like the planned neighborhoods or traditional neighborhood developments as they're called. You can't create the real thing.
And then we want to highlight Magdalene Square also, because I think that's important to Abbeville.
And I am still looking for my photo from my great-great-granddad of the cattle drive in Magdalene Square.
I wish you could find it. I'd love to see it.
Yeah, my great-great-granddad was Othal Richard,
Ah,
which was Avery Richard's dad.
Avery?
Yeah, the guy who built the current Sailborn. But there was a
Yeah.
Sailborn there before that.
Well, how cool. Look
Yeah.
hard. Look really hard for the photo.
I need to.
So
Anne or Charlene, do you know if the rice mill is part of the ozone? I can't remember if it
It
falls because it's recently vacated. So that would probably be one that we would want to feature.
Yeah, that would be such a cool redevelopment project.
I'm going to place a map, another map in the chat. This is the Opportunity Zone census tract boundaries, just in case anyone wants to know if a particular location is or is not in the zone. So moving on, we have our built capital accommodations, and we want to highlight the local charm, right, with the bed and breakfasts, more so than, you know, the hotels. So this is the list that I have. If anyone has any comments about it.
Magdalene Cottage, I'd like to see on there too. That's a new one that probably wasn't
Yeah.
ready yet when you built this, but it's right on Magdalene Square.
Any others that you know of, please include. And again, if you guys know contact info or web addresses, you know, all of that's going to be stuff we can build in.
There's two more that we need to add besides the Magdalene Cottage. There's two other ones, so we'll just have to those.
Okay, awesome. And I'm just checking our group chat, and Andre Bro with One Acadiana says that he's happy to provide information with the 55 by 25. So thank you.
Good thing, because we were going to make him. So good thing he's willing to do it.
So, and then our critical infrastructure, we have the Abbeville Harbor and Terminal District, the Port of Vermilion, and Henry Hub, which, as you can see, I need information on Henry Hub because I have placeholder text here now. And then just to get it all on out, we have the Chris Crusta Memorial Airport and Louisiana and Delta Railroad. And
Yeah, and we can get you some photos of the new terminal building, and we're actually redoing the taxiway project now. So we've done some improvements at the airport.
awesome. Okay. And then we'll have a list of utilities and services that if I'm an investor and I need to get my electricity connected, or I need to figure out how to pay my water bill, you know, we want this to be a one-stop resource.
Well, and not only that, the major utilities like, you know, CLECO, SLIBCO, all have economic development arms that help you get, if you need a certain voltage or a certain level of service, they help to get you there, get you to where you need. And so those are groups that you would have to work with.
And then we highlight CapTel as a local industry. I think that's it. Yep, that's it for the built capital. If anyone has anything they want to add.
We might want to add the rural broadband initiative somehow. Again, like a little call out talking about how there's a push to provide more access and affordability for broadband services. We can figure something out.
Well, and CapTel's been a major leader in that too.
For sure.
So maybe their picture might shrink. And
Oh yeah, yeah. We can find a better picture too.
We need a better. No, be honest, we need a better picture.
What's wrong with this one? No, I'm just kidding.
The aspect ratio is not right, and it's a little pixelated.
Well, I'm not the
And
photographer.
it's the front of a building. I mean, we can come up with something better.
We got something better than that.
Okay, great. Remember, I had a stock image from their website, and Anne was like, "That's not even." Okay.
It was definitely stock image.
We'll hold it as a placeholder for now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So political capital. I love the courthouse in Abbeville, so that's.
I
Well,
would
it's an
tell
AP
Kate though that City Hall is equally exceptional, so it would be worth. Because I think don't we have the courthouse in another picture?
Yeah. I think we do.
Maybe,
I think so.
maybe not. Maybe
I
I'm
mean,
thinking.
you got an A Town building. I mean, you can't not put it somewhere in here.
I hear you.
And so, and then we give the city departments as a resource on the next page. And so far, that's what we have for political capital. If there's anything anyone would like to see here.
Definitely think we should list Main Street here. I know we listed it elsewhere, but we probably need to put Main Street as its own department with a number to Charlene.
Yeah.
Okay, great.
We
Main
also
Street has
have
its
a
own
planning
resources that
commission.
people could tap into.
We also have a planning commission. I don't
Oh,
know.
that would be good. Yeah, that kind of info would be good to have here.
Yeah.
Okay, awesome. Our financial capital is where we are listing our economic partners. So we have us, 1A, Vermilion Economic Development, the Chamber of Commerce, and the Tourist Commission. And we want to have a list of our banks here.
Ooh, not the best bank picture.
Yeah, I know. I need a better picture. Anything else for this category? Okay. And then that's where the capitals end and we move on to the vision of the future and our potential catalyst projects or proposed projects, things that people would like to see. So I guess a very important question to this meeting is, now that we've listed everything that we have, what does Abbeville need? Like, what would you like to see in the future?
I don't want to seem like I don't care about this section, but Cade and I have talked. We want to hear from you guys because we spent many hours talking about this. So, but if y'all need some inspiration,
And if you can't come up with anything on the spot right now, that's like okay too. But we do want to hear from you in the future.
Say, let us give you some ideas later. I know one thing that you know, some downtown living in the historical area. I know that that's something that has been brought to my attention quite a bit, that they would like to see some dual use of some of the buildings, incorporating some residential downtown. So I know that is something that has been talked about a lot. I would like to see us have some kind of venue for selling more of our live seafood, fresh farm. We have a farmer's market. I know that they've done a farmer's market now at Thibodeau's feed store that they're doing on the weekends, that we don't have a farmer's market. So I would like to see us have something of that nature. I know there's a lot more that I just can't think of on the spot like this, but
Didn't
This would be a
Abbeville
good
do
place
a
to put
comprehensive
this, like-
plan?
say again. I'm sorry.
I mean, it may be old, but didn't Abbeville do a comprehensive plan at one point?
yeah, they did I have a few of the plans I can share with you and we can look at.
Please do. I mean, we might be able to pull stuff out of there,
Okay.
particularly the good ideas.
This would be a good place to put the Frank's Theater, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, awesome. And then the rest of the prospectus is, it's not going to change between the communities that we're doing prospectuses for. That those are going to be Abbeville, Breaux Bridge, Church Point, Eunice, New Iberia, Opelousas, and Ville Platte.
But it is our opportunity to include some more photos from, Abbeville and particularly in the zone. And if we have any renderings or drawings from any of the plans that have been developed, we can also include those here.
Yeah.
I'd also like to see Black building placed somewhere as an opportunity for someone to develop that. whether it's housing, like Ross said, or, you know, some kind of good use in that building, because it's an anchor to that street.
And I remember from Duani's comprehensive plan, one of the things he called for was assisted living type homes in the downtown area, since it is so walkable and you know, commutable. A place where, you know, a retirement community downtown in some of the historic buildings. I know that was featured, and I know that that's been brought up about the Blacks building in the past.
Mm-hmm.
Also,
Well, you know, we may want to highlight that as a potential project. Talk about that. It's a good opportunity to talk about Duani's plan there, and also just kind of talk about the incentives that may be available for that project. You know, whether they're historic preservation tax credits or any combination. You know, and just kind of highlight it.
Awesome. So
also one thing someone just pointed out to me, and I would be amiss not to mention it in recreation, is that we do have a golf course here in Abbeville, and you know, is a really nice playable course. So I think that we definitely need to make sure it's listed if it's not.
I don't know how we missed that.
That's natural. Well, is it open again?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Okay, good. I know they had a few problems a while back. Well, not that far back.
It's open and the place to be.
okay, good. And then the rest of the document is going to be just high-level overview of the Opportunity Zone federal program, with, you know, unique pictures from Abbeville, and what are the incentives, and we kind of highlight how the investment works.
There's one we're going to have to add to all of them, Kate. It's going to be the new angel investor tax credit for the Opportunity Zones.
Okay,
That's the 35% tax credit for angel investors up to, and we'll have to get through the limits and you have a good blurb about it.
okay. And that pretty much wraps up the prospectus.
Yeah, there's some new legislation too with the enterprise zone program in particular,
Mm-hmm.
opening it up, making it available to companies that haven't had the chance to apply before. So we'll definitely want to get some of that new legislation. We can lean on Andre a little bit. I know he has some information about, you know, the last few sessions and what changed.
And we're also
Shore up our lane.
We're also going to have to update the historic preservation tax credit, the state ones, because that one's changed to the percentages decreased, but they've extended it out. And there's some limits now that are different than they were before.
What I want to do too is I want, if there's something that we didn't talk about today that you even if you don't know where it goes, make sure you mention it, or let's bring it up and, you know, put it in our notes after the fact, because that's what we don't want to do, is miss something, you know, pretty obvious that we didn't have a chance to talk about because of the categories. We can find a way to fit it. We did that a couple times in the process. We came up with a couple things and we just kind of made it fit. So please don't hesitate to share that if you have something in mind.
Can you share this draft of the prospectus? I mean, I think it's a lot easier to work looking off of it, and it'll draw ideas for us.
Sure.
So if we can share that. Yeah.
And I'll put my my email in the chat. So if you wouldn't mind, could you just send me yours so I can get that over to you? And I just want to do a quick plug for One Acadiana and the Acadiana Planning Commission's partnership, which is Invest Acadiana. If you have a project or anything like that, or you want to see some of the previous prospectuses that we've completed for the Opportunity Zone Initiative. This is where you can find that information. This was the regional one. And what I'll do is I don't want to give anyone motion sickness, but I want to find Vermilion Parish. Here we go.
Well, it's gonna be at the end because we did it alphabetically.
There we go.
And so this is where we got our theme, essentially, our graphic style and the type of information that we were looking for. So I would encourage you to check out investicadiana.com as a great resource for opportunity zones. And then one more website plug. I'm going to point you to planacadiana.org/opportunity zones, where we have a high-level overview of the program, a map where you can, see. Actually, I need to put the map that I sent in the chat on this page where you can search by address to see if you are in an opportunity zone. So that's going to go on my to-do list. And we have our prospectuses. The most recent one that we completed was the University Corridor Prospectus in Lafayette. And so this was when I first started with the Acadiana Planning Commission a year ago. This is one of the first things that I got the opportunity to work on. And
that's a good example of how we pulled out from comprehensive plans and other plans elements that could be highlighted as potential projects. So it's worth looking at that if you want to steal ideas.
Yeah, and to David's point earlier, having that developable property information and the trend data for office space occupancy, things like that, I think would be worth adding if we can't squeeze it in.
If you have it in, and we can add it.
Yeah, we could do photos of each even developable property. I mean, there's a lot of great spots.
And the other side is those developable properties we need to flip out onto the Opportunity Exchange, the state exchange, because we are basically the LED is paying for it, but we have an Acadiana section, and granted we have about 1/4 of the project statewide on there in properties, but we need to put more in there so that it's a better database.
Yeah, and I think it's important for everybody to know too that the state and the feds are putting resources behind helping market these zones. Mm-hmm. And so this is not just a really nice document that we'll have, it also is going to be pushed out, as part of the state opportunity zone, opportunities. It's hard to not use that word, but that's what it is.
But yeah, that's useful, particularly for our commercial real estate folks. If you have properties that you have listed, let's get them on that are in the zone. Let's get them listed on the LED portal, and you can access it either through Acadiana or directly through the LED portal. And
we can do some kind of maybe mail out newsletter and kind of talk about that.
Because that's something we need to beef up a lot. Across the region is getting more of those properties that are available in zones listed and available.
Yeah, and I'm thinking about the map and list of properties from when we did that downtown destination event.
Yep, that's what I was thinking too. It was like, what else did we mark that maybe isn't on here? So I want to go through that again.
Okay, and then to wrap up, here's our events page. Abbeville was the second asset mapping Zoom meeting. Ville Platte was the first, and I was much more nervous. And but today was fun. I appreciate everyone's feedback. And then we have our opportunity zone, Acadiana opportunity zones in the news. If you want to check out some of the coverage that we've gotten in the past, I'm looking for Forbes. We were recognized, and Acadiana was recognized for our opportunity zone work. And this here is Mr. Scott Turner with the White House Opportunity and Revitalization Council when they visited with us to go over our Opportunity Zone information. And so we take pride in that, and they're going to be looking at this again too. So, and with that, I think that wraps up our meeting. If anyone has any final comments, I'd love to hear from you. I really appreciate everything that we have gotten already. I've already gotten some feedback in my email, so thank you for that.
Cade, what's our timeline, like a deadline, or when do we expect these to be done?
I am trying my hardest to have these done by September. And the more information and feedback I get from the communities, the more I'm like, it's a close deadline, but.
Well, we'll help you get there. But I was thinking too, Rosalind brought up a project that we did where we did like a downtown open house, and we showed off some of the, previously modified structures, like some success stories, and then some projects that could happen, and to inspire folks. It might be nice to like do like a reveal of the prospectus and couple that with maybe with another event. Like we could do another open house, or maybe show off some of the developable pieces, because there are some listings downtown that we could very easily coordinate with some real estate professionals, get inside, look around, have people be able to kind of come in at their leisure. So that might be kind of a nice little announcement, press conference kind of thing, and then we could roll into an event.
Yeah, that would be great, Ann. And the other side of this is we have to think this is a living document. So even though we're going to have a draft done, or not a draft, but a version done by September, we can always update and add. So as we get projects or ideas, we can continue to add and flesh it out, and keep it living, so that it has some relevancy for 7 years down the road or 5 years down the road.
Right. That's great. Thank you guys so much.
Yeah, it's been a pleasure. Thank you all, everyone. All right, y'all have a good evening.
Thanks. Thanks
And
for
we're on time.
Hi,
Two down,
everyone.
Cade.
Good job, Cade. You learned from last week.
You did
Yep.
good.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right,
Bye.
bye.